Yes, good morning, my listeners and students out there. We are back to our lecture series on clinical vitaminology. This is a series 2 on this very lecture. This morning, we'll be looking at riboflavin. Riboflavin is one of the water-soluble vitamins that play crucial roles in energy metabolism, in cell growth, and other physiological processes. That is vitamin B2 we are referring to. Now, if you look at riboflavin, there are sources, there are places where this vitamin can be derived from. One is dairy product like milk, yogurt, and you can also derive it from fortified food like cereals and grains. You can derive it from living greenish vegetables or leafing green. You can derive it from egg. You can derive it from fish. These are some of the sources of vitamin B2 called riboflavin. What is the biological function? What role? Biological function of riboflavin. I said earlier it is for cell growth, for energy metabolism. Why energy metabolism? Because it's a component of coenzymes, a precursor of coenzymes like flavin mononucleotide and flavin adenine dinucleotide. You see, these are two prosthetic group as coenzymes that helps in metabolic pathway like fatty acid metabolic pathway, xenobiotic pathway, and steroid pathway. They are very important in synthesis of these micromolecules. Now, let's look at the role it also plays as antioxidant. Flavin adenine dinucleotide is involved in antioxidant process, helping humans to prevent oxidative stress as a result of free radicals generated. Now, let's look at, as I said earlier, one, energy production, the health benefits. How does it provide energy? Because it's a cofactor, a precursor to a cofactor, and it's important in some of this metabolic pathway like the TCA cycle. Hence, it helps in more production of ATP. Now, not only that, it helps in cell growth and development, thereby assisting in synthesis of DNA and repair of tissue. And not only that, these vitamins have also shown roles in eye health. That is, it helps to maintain the healthy function of the eye. You see, these are important vitamins needed by the body. That's why it is being water soluble. They are greatly needed. Now, let's look at the deficiency. Is it possible to have a deficiency? Yes, when your source of intake is not adequate, or perhaps you are not able to get access to this very source, and also known that they are water soluble, they are easily excreted from the system via urine, hence there is bound to be deficiency. Now, that deficiency we can refer it to as riboflavinosis, and the symptoms of this include soft throat, redness, and swelling of the lip, which is commonly referred to as magentile tongue. You see soft throat, redness of your tongue, moisture tongue, and all the likes. And these are symptoms of riboflavinosis, the deficiency of vitamin B2. Now, factors influencing the requirement. Factors influencing the requirement of vitamin B2. Number one is a diet low in riboflavin-rich food. Yes, that is one of the factors that influence the requirement of vitamin B2. Please understand that. Not only that, alcohol consumption. We have established this fact that alcoholics, whether chronic or not, it helps to decrease absorption of vitamins in the body. Hence, alcoholic require an increase of this very vitamin intake. Why? Because it increases the excretion of vitamin B2. Now let's look at the vitamin B3 called niacin. Niacin is another water-soluble vitamin. It plays role, just like vitamin B2, in energy metabolism and also in various physiological processes of the system. Now, one of the importance of niacin is DNA synthesis and various processes, physiological processes, and not only that, energy metabolism. There are two forms. I'm sorry for that. There are two forms of niacin B3. One is the nicotinic acid. This form is often used as a supplement in lowering cholesterol, especially the low density lipoprotein cholesterol. And the second form is nicotinamide. This form does not affect cholesterol, but it is commonly used in skin products for its potential benefit on skin health. Yes, please understand that nicotinamide has no effect on cholesterol, but rather it helps to improve the skin health. Now let's look at the dietary sources of vitamin B3 niacin. One is meats, pork meat, yes, beef, chicken, turkey, fish is another part, nuts like peanuts, legumes like beans and whole grain, brown rice, then milk and egg. These are sources. Vegetable like mushroom, avocado and potato. These are sources of vitamin B3, which I believe they are common food sources around us in Africa. Now let's move further to look at the function of vitamin B3. Vitamin B3, as I said earlier, is a component of coenzyme nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. That is a coenzyme to so many metabolic pathways, therefore enhancing the production of ATP, which is the energy currency of a cell. And not only that, it helps in DNA synthesis, it helps in DNA repair. Yes, and not only that, it also important in cell signaling. Niacin participates in various cell signaling pathways. You can see the function of this very vitamin, which means it is very important to take optimal dose of this very vitamin to enhance metabolic and physiological processes. What are the health benefits? One, it helps to keep the cardiovascular system in order. What do I mean? Because I said earlier, nicotinic acid helps to lower cholesterol, especially the low density lipoproteins, and not only that, it lowers the triglycerides, which can accumulate like as a plaque in the anterioles and leading to atherosclerosis. But when this is reduced, it helps to better the functions of the cardiovascular system by raising the high density lipoprotein cholesterol, which is a good cholesterol. Now, apart from that, we have the skin care. Niacin may have benefit on the skin health, and also it helps in mental health. Adequate niacin level is very important for brain function, and some studies have also found that the role of niacin in mental health, which means by looking at niacin as a vitamin, it is of importance to always have an adequate dose of these vitamins in our system for metabolic and physiological functions. Now, is there deficiency of this vitamin? Yes, it is possible to have the deficiency of niacin. Yes, despite the deficiency is here because these common sources of food of vitamin B3 are close by us in Africa, especially in Nigeria. But yes, being water soluble vitamin, it can easily be excreted via urine. Hence, there is a need for adequate intake of vitamin B3. And the common deficiency is termed polygraph. Polygraph is a condition resulting from severe niacin deficiency, and it comprises of 3Ds, which we call dermatitis, diarrhea, and dementia. These are common symptoms of polygraph. Despite it's a rare condition, but yes, it occurred in a malnourished population for those that have no access to the source of vitamin B3. Now, let's move further by looking at factors influencing requirements. Number one, diet low in niacin rich food, which we have said earlier. A diet that is low in it can result you taking excess of dates in order to meet up your required daily dose. And not only that, alcoholics are bound to have deficiency of this because it inhibits the absorption of vitamin like vitamin B3. Now, there is what we call niacin flush. When you have taken excess of niacin, high dose of it, it causes niacin flush, which characterized by redness, warmth of the skin, warmness of the skin. And this condition referred to as niacin flush is harmless but common side effect. It has no harm, it's just a common side effect of high dose of niacin, which I said is characterized by redness and warmness of the skin. Now let's move to vitamin B5, pantothenic acid, that is the vitamin B5. It's a vital nutrient for energy metabolism, particularly in synthesis of coenzyme A. Please, may I let you know that all B complex, B1, B2 to B12, they all act in one or two way as a coenzyme to metabolic pathway. While deficiency is here due to its presence in diverse food, maintaining a balanced diet that includes the sources of B5 is crucial for overall health functions. Now, let's look at the role it plays biologically. B5 is important, critical in synthesis of coenzyme A. Coenzyme A is one of a cofactor in metabolic pathways. Yes, one of the cofactors in metabolic pathways, especially in metabolism of carbohydrate, metabolism of fat and protein. And as a result of that, it helps to generate energy, which helps to generate energy in form of ATP, the energy currency of a cell. And not only that, I said earlier that it is very essential in fatty acid pathway. It helps in synthesis of fatty acid, which is the building block of cellular structures and energy storage, which you would know that cholesterol is one of the component of cellular, a major component of cellular structure, and not only that it helps to store energy when the needs arise. Now, are there sources of V5? Yes. One of the source is meats, organ meats, especially organ meats like liver meat, kidney meat, and the rest kind of organ meat, poultry foods. You can talk about eggs, minks, and so many other sources of vitamin B5. Yes, it has health benefit. Number one, skin health. It helps in skin because this coenzyme A, it helps to regenerate the skin cells, especially in the aspects of collagen synthesis. Not only that, it helps in wound healing, which we have established in our previous class, that for wound healing to occur, there is need of formation of capillary beds, which we refer to as angiogenesis. And for angiogenesis to take place, there is need for collagen basement, and which is one of the way healing can occur. And this is synthesized with the help of vitamin B5, the pantothenic acid. And not only that, some researchers have suggested a potential role of vitamin B5 in response of body to stress, which means it helps also to manage stress. It helps also to manage stress. Now, is there deficiency of this very vitamin? Yes. But despite the deficiency is rare, but when there is, it causes irritability, numbness, and tingling in the extremities, like the legs, the fingers, and not only that, it causes gastrointestinal disturbance. Now let's look at vitamin B5 quickly. Vitamin B6, sorry, which is called the pyridosine. Pyridosine is called B6. Another water-soluble vitamin, yes, that play a crucial role in physiological functions in the body. And not only that, it helps in amino acid metabolism. It helps in neurotransmitter synthesis. And not only that, it also helps in immune functions. Now, let's look at the chemistry and the sources of vitamin B6. Now, vitamin B6 exists in various forms. Pyridosine is one of the several related compounds. Pyridosine, pyridosa, pyridosamine. These are all forms of vitamin B6, but the active form of B6 is pyridosa 5-phosphate. That is the active form. Please understand it exists in three forms: pyridosine, pyridosam, pyridosamine, and the active form of it is pyridosa 5-phosphate. And the sources of this very vitamin includes meat, fish, poultry foods, nut, whole grain, that is brown rice and other grains, fruits and vegetables are sources of this vitamin B6. Does it have functions? Yes, it has. One of the functions of B6 is a precursor to coenzyme, and coenzyme of this source is over 100. It participates in 100 enzymes involved in various metabolic reactions. Can you see the importance of B6? And not only that, as I said earlier, it facilitates amino acid metabolism, meaning it helps in conversion of tryptophan to niacin and synthesis of neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. These are essential neurotransmitters that helps in cell signaling, that helps in transmission of messages across the nerve. Now, not only that, it helps in hemoglobin synthesis, it helps in hemoglobin synthesis. The hemoglobin is a protein in the red cells responsible for oxygen transport. Not only that, it also helps in glycogen breakdown, which means it plays a role to break down glycogen into glucose, contributing to energy production. You can say that. And not only that, it also has a function of immune system by helping in production of an antibody. You see, vitamin B6 has a whole lot of functions. It has a whole lot of function. It has a whole lot of function. Please, I want you to take it to heart to understand that vitamin B6 has lots of function, especially as a coenzyme for over 100 enzymes in metabolic processes and pathways. Now, let's look at the metabolism of vitamin B6. Absorption is that when a food containing vitamin B6 is taken in, it is absorbed in the intestine through passive diffusion process, and hence it undergoes conversion into the active form, which is pyridoxal 5 phosphate, primarily in the liver, and hence the function of this very vitamin. Yes, it can lead to, there can be a deficiency of this very vitamin when adequate intake is poor, and that can result to conditions like dermatitis, inflammation of the skin. Yes, and not only that, it can result to microcytic anemia, having a small size of red blood cells. Neurological issues can occur, and this is as a result of not taking adequate intake of vitamin B sources. And not only that, there are some medications that can also counteract, that can also affect, causing deficiency of vitamin B6. What are these medications? Isoniazid, levodopa, and theophylline. All these medications as well can affect the absorption of vitamin B6. Now, let's look at the interaction, just like what I have said earlier. Interaction with medication. Vitamin B6 may interact with medications, and caution is needed, especially when taking anti-epileptic drugs and levodopa. I just mentioned that. Now, not only that, it have synergy with other vitamins. It works in conjunction with vitamins like B12 and folic acid in metabolic processes. Yes. What are special considerations to this very vitamin? Pregnancy. In pregnancy, adequate amount of it is needed because it helps in fetal development, and not only that, excessive alcohol intake can deplete vitamin B6. Please take note of that. In general, as a general rule, alcoholic have low level of vitamins as a result of effect it has on absorption of vitamin. Now, let's look at vitamin B7 called the biotin. Biotin is another water-soluble vitamin that has functions in various metabolic processes. In summary, it plays key roles in metabolism, in cell growth, in reproduction. Despite the deficiency is rare, but due to its presence in various foods, hence adequate needs are accessible. Adequate needs of it are accessible. What are the sources of this food? We have egg around us easily. Egg, yolk of egg, liver, meat, nuts, seeds, cauliflower, potato, whole grain. All these are sources of what? Of vitamin B7. And not only that, it can also be produced by bacteria in the intestine, thereby contributing to the overall biotin level. Now, there can be biotin deficiency. Biotin deficiency, despite it is rare because we have access to this food, but if it occurs, what are the symptoms? It can lead to health loss in cases of alopecia, skin rashes. It can lead to neurological abnormalities. Yes, neurological abnormalities. And not only that, when the enzyme called biotin is deficient, it can lead to this very condition of biotin deficiency. And when that arises, one of the results can lead to seizure, which seizure, developmental delay, and neurological issues. Please, for adults, the normal dose is 30 to 100 microgram per day. That is the adequate recommended dose for individuals taking this very vitamin as supplement. Now, we want to look at vitamin B9. This is a very common vitamin. It's also one of the water-soluble vitamins that has a key role in processes like DNA synthesis, repair, and cell division. Now, if you look at folates, you can term it folate or folic acid. Now, it's very crucial in cell divisions, in red blood cell formations. And as a result of that, there is a need for adequate intake because of its importance in overall health, especially in pregnancy, in order to prevent what we call neural tube defect. You can see pregnant women, even before pregnancy, they take in adequate level of folate. During pregnancy, they take it, and just like that. Yes, at least a recommended dose of this is around 400 microgram on daily basis. That is for folate. Now let's look at the forms of vitamin B. Now we have it as folate, which is a natural form of the vitamin in food, but in supplement, in synthetic form, we call it folic acid, which has been embedded into some supplements which I recommend. Perhaps we are not having direct source to the food containing vitamin B9. Now, what is the function? Number one, it helps in DNA synthesis and repair. Folate is essential in synthesis of DNA, and not only it is very crucial for normal cell division and growth, and not only that, it helps in red cell formation. Folate is necessary for the production of red cell, thereby preventing anemia. Yes, preventing anemia. Yes, there are food sources. Where can you get it from? You can get it from vegetables. You can get it from legume. You can get it from citrus fruit. You can get it from liver mint. And these are foods where you can get enough folate or folates, yes, as a source of as a source of food. Now, folate is also found in fortified food and supplements. Adequate folate intake is necessary during pregnancy. I have said that earlier, to prevent neural tube defect in developing fetus. And not only that, what is recommended, I said earlier, is 400 microgram. Now, synthetic form like folic acid is often recommended for pregnant women and those even planning to conceive. Now, can there be sorry for that, can there be deficient? Yes, it can be when you have no access to direct source of folate, and this can lead to megaloblastic anemia. Megaloblastic, you see, these are large immature red blood cells. That shows that the cells are not capable of doing their job. Yes, of doing their job. Now, not only that, the cells are large, but they are immature to carry out their functions. In pregnancy, the deficiency I said earlier, it can lead to neural tube defect. This is a point of emphasis so that you understand why pregnant women take vitamin B9, which is your folate. And as a result of that, it can affect the brain and the spinal cord of the fetus. And I said earlier that 400 microgram is the actual dose daily you need to take in for folate. Now, are there interactions of these vitamins with other medications? Yes, folate work in conjunctions with other vitamins, yes, like B12, and deficiency in one can mark the symptom of another. Now, please understand that high dose of folate from supplement may interact with certain medication. So it is very important for you to consult a health professional before taking other medication in conjunction with folate. What are we talking about? Drugs like barbiturate, methotrexate, carbamazepine. Methotrexate is one of the drugs in treating of cancer, And you can see that all these drugs can interact with folate. Hence, consult a health professional to guide while taking other medications with vitamin B9. Adequate folate intake is associated with a reduced risk of certain birth defects, yes, cardiovascular disease, and certain type of what? Of cancer. Now, let's look at vitamin B12 called the cyanocobalamin, or for short, cobalamin. Cobalamin is a water-soluble vitamin. It has functions in various physiological processes in the body. And not only that, it helps in DNA synthesis, formation of red blood cells, and not only that, it helps in nervous system function, helping to activate the nerve cells, proper functioning of the nerves. Does it have functions? I've said yes. DNA synthesis, yes, DNA synthesis, genetic material in the cells is very important in order to carry the information from the parent cells to the doctor cells. Now, the red blood cell formation, it plays role in formation of red blood cell, helping to prevent what we know as megaloblastic anemia. Just like I said earlier in B9, they work hand in hand in order to ensure that megaloblastic anemia does not occur. And not only that, it helps in nervous system functioning, which means B12 is very vital for the normal functioning of your nerves, maintaining of the myelin, that is the outer shell of the nerve. When oxidative stress destroys the outer nerves of this, the outer layer of this nerve called the myelins, there is bound to be numbness. There is bound to be numbness, tingling to lower extremities. Lower extremities and even your fingers as well can also go numb because necessary neurotransmissions are not taking place across the nerve signaling. Now let's move further by looking at the absorption of this very vitamin. Vitamin B12 is primarily found in animal products. Primarily animal products. But that does not mean that it's not found in plant-based. It's primarily found in animal products. Primarily, I said, meat, fish, poultry, food, and the rest. Plant-based are limited, yes. It's found in plant, but they are limited. But you get it adequately from animal source. And deficiency is common in those that are strictly vegetarians. Those that are strictly vegetarians. They don't take animal product, mainly on plant-based. Hence, there is bound to be deficiency of vitamin B12. What function does this vitamin B12, how does it function? How does it act in helping in helping to how does the vitamin B12 actually get absorbed? There is a factor called intrinsic factor. This factor is present in the stomach. It helps in absorption of vitamin B12 even in the small intestine, which means that factor must be adequate for B12 to be what? To be absorbed. And when there is issue with malabsorption, this vitamin the deficiency can result to pernicious anemia. Pernicious anemia. Pernicious anemia. Who are those that are risked having vitamin B12 deficiency? I said earlier, vegetarians. Those that are solely consuming plant-based food without animal source. The elderly ones are also prone to having vitamin as a result of aging. Aging can also impact the body ability to absorb vitamin B12. Individuals with intestinal issue, as in the case of malabsorption, they can have cases of vitamin B12. And you see, such people are prone to having megaloblastic anemia. Now, let's look at some of the health conditions related to vitamin B12. The health condition relating to vitamin B12. Pernicious anemia, yes, that is it. Because this autoimmune condition, where an autoimmune condition help to attack the intrinsic factor, which I said is the factor that helps in absorption, and hence vitamin B12 is not properly absorbed, resulting to pernicious anemia. Let's look at neurological issues It can result to tingling, numbness in extremities, and not only that, difficult with balance and coordination. For adults, it is expected that 2.4 microgram per day is taken in for normal functioning of the system. Now, what are there? Are there drugs? Are there medications that interact with B12? Let's look at it. B12 work in conjunction with other big vitamins. Deficiency in one can affect the functions of the other, which means a high level of folic acid can mask symptoms of B12 deficiency, emphasizing the importance of taking balanced B vitamin intake. What are we talking about? Which means if the absence of in the absence of vitamin B12 and you are able to take high dose of folic acid, which is B9, the deficiency may likely to be reduced. Yes, because they almost play key function. That is why they almost play similar roles, and that is why this vitamin comes in complex. Adequate B12 intake is crucial in pregnancy for development of baby nervous system. Now, we'll be looking at relationship of these vitamins we have considered thus far with what relationship does it have with hormone. Vitamin play a role in synthesis and functions of hormones, which are signal molecules that coordinate various physiological processes. Yes, vitamins a lot are involved in hormone production, activation, and metabolism. Just like we have looked at some of the big complexes like acting as cofactors in metabolic pathway, especially those in fatty acid. And we know from that cholesterol is formed, and cholesterol is one of the sources of production of hormones. Now, let's look at vitamin B, D, and hormones. Yes, vitamin D, which we have already established in our first class, that helps in absorption of calcium and phosphates and it helps in bone mineralization. How does it act? The active form calcitriol acts as a hormone. Why? Because it regulates calcium and phosphate metabolism. Not only that, it has a connection with the parathyroid hormone and helps it to maintain calcium homeostasis. It is connected to parathyroid hormone in helping to maintain calcium homeostasis. Now, let's move further by looking at vitamin A. In what way does it act in form of hormone? In what way, what relationship does it have with hormone? Retinoic acid, which is the active form, it helps in regulation of gene expression, influencing cell growth and differentiation. And as a result of that, it acts in a way, it acts as a hormone. And what connection are we looking at? In the development and maintenance of various body tissues, which we have said the skin, the mucous membrane, and also the immune system. If you look at vitamin K also, necessary for the synthesis of proteins like clotting factors and osteocalcin. Osteocalcin is a homo-like protein which involved in bone mineralization, and vitamin K is necessary for its what? Activation. You can see how vitamin K also is related, playing a role of hormone in by direct synthesis of osteocalcin. Now let's look at vitamin B5. The pantothenic acid, which we have already established, they are all in form of coenzymes and play a role in synthesis of steroid hormones as a coenzymes, fatty acid pathways, and other important molecules. And when this is acting as a coenzyme and helps in synthesis of hormones, look at cortisol, testosterone, and estrogen. You can see they are components of the synthesis of hormone. That is how B5 also acts. B6 also, which we just look at, we said it helps in amino acid metabolism Neurotransmitters. Yes, neurotransmitters are hormones. Yes, hormones. Dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine. These are hormone-like proteins. Yes, hormone-like proteins. And they help in hormone regulation. Vitamin B6, which we said it has function in antioxidants, collagen formations, immune functions, and wound healing. How does it have relationship? In what way does it have relationship? It helps to modulate the synthesis of hormones like cortisol and aldosterone. And collagen, whose synthesis is of influenced by vitamin C, is important in maintaining structural integrity of glands that produces hormone. Can you see the relationship it has in helping to synthesize hormone? It keeps the structural integrity of the glands that synthesized hormone. Vitamin E and its relation to hormone. Yes, vitamin E, we know, a fat-soluble vitamin. It helps as an antioxidant to protect cells from oxidative damage. And not only that, it also modulates hormonal signaling and its functions. As antioxidant property, it protects cells, and not only that, it helps in hormone production and regulation. Now, let's look at, by way of summarizing it, vitamin D function as a hormone regulating calcium, function as a hormone regulating calcium and bone health. I'm summarizing. Vitamin A, retinic acid, regulates gene expression and cell differentiation. You know what I mean by gene expression? Looking at transcription to translations, thereby synthesizing a particular protein acting as a hormone. That is that. Vitamin K also activates blood clotting factor and bone mineralization. And in one or two ways, it also acts in synthesis of osteocalcin, which acts as a hormone-like protein that helps in regulation of calcium. Vitamin B5 is involved in synthesis of steroid hormones like cortisol and testosterone. Yes, when there are deficiency of this very vitamin, there can be a common health implication, especially vitamin D, that can lead to rickets in children, osteomalacia in adults. A can lead to night blindness, C can lead to scurvy, and yes, it can affect the immune function, the bone and metabolic processes. Those that are at risk are older adults, yes, older adults, vegetarians, individuals with malabsorption, which we say alcoholic fall into such group. Now, to round up this very series, balanced nutrition is the key to maintain overall health. Understanding the role and interaction of vitamins helps to prevent deficiency. Future research will continue to uncover new insights of vitaminology. That is it, which means the vitamins are of essence to human health. Hence, there is a need for adequate intake of vitamins so that the overall metabolic processes will be enhanced. Thank you for listening to this very lecture. Go through it, pen down whatever of interest in this very lecture. Pen it down. Pen it down. It's very important. Thank you for listening.